This lesson we're going to be talking about simplifying and multiplying rationals. So it's kind of our first foray into rational equations, and some of the things we need to remember are some of our formulas we've had from before. Difference of squares, a squared minus b squared, that is a minus b times a plus b. The difference of cubes, so if you remember, a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. And then the sum of cubes is a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. So we just kind of need those formulas in the back of our heads. It'll help us out. It'll make things quicker. So if you're looking at the notes portion, simplify a rational expression. We need to pull out the greatest common factor and then factor our numerator and denominator, keeping them in fraction form. Then we cancel out common factors from the numerator and the denominator, no matter where they are. For binomials, they must be exactly the same. That means x cannot cross out x plus 3. It has to be an x plus 3 and an x plus 3. Monomial variables just subtract your exponents. So x fifth over x squared is x to the third. For constants, you just divide or reduce like a normal fraction. And x by itself, this is good to remember, an x by itself cannot cancel an x that is being added or subtracted with a number. Then step 3, we rewrite it as a simplified fraction. We state restrictions based on the factors you get from step 1. Restrictions just mean the denominator cannot be equal to 0. Multiplying is the same as simplifying, but there's a multiplication symbol present in the rational fraction. So let's look quickly. We're going to use a times c method. X squared plus 2x minus 24. We're going to factor out the numerator. So the two numbers that multiply to be a times c is negative 24. The two numbers that multiply to be negative 24 and add up to 2, the b value, are 6 and negative 4. So the top is going to be x plus 6 times x minus 4. And then in the denominator, x squared plus 7x plus 6, well, 1 times 6 is 6. The two numbers that multiply to be 6 and add up to 7 are 6 and 1. So we have x plus 6 and x plus 1. And now we can cross things out. What can we cross out? The x plus 6's are the same. And so our final answer is x minus 4 over x plus 1. And we say x cannot be equal to negative 6 or negative 1. And we get those by looking at our denominator here, when x plus 6 equals 0 and when x plus 1 equals 0. So that means x can't be negative 6 or negative 1, because that would make the denominator equal to 0. All right, let's look over here at number 2. So we have the top. We want to just factor out. We do not multiply, we factor. So 2x squared minus 10x. What can you take out? Well, I can take out a 2x. What I'm left with is x minus 5. And then I still have x plus 3. I know that looks kind of like a 7. I'll work on my numbers better. But that's x plus 3. Over. So we have x cubed plus 25x minus 2x cubed. So that means we have a negative x cubed plus 25x. That can still be factored. So the top we're going to leave the same. 2x times x minus 5 times x plus 3. The bottom, what I'm going to take out is a negative x. So I have negative x times x squared minus 25. Using the difference of squares, that just becomes x minus 5 times x plus 5. So this one just takes a while to factor it all out, but all multiplying and simplifying is just factoring, which is why we spend so much time factoring, because if you can't factor, you're going to be in big trouble. So now I have completely factored out the numerator and denominator. And let's look and see what we can cross out. Well, we have a nice x minus 5 goes away, and here we can get rid of an x. So that means our final answer, we're going to have 2 times x plus 3, I'm okay leaving it like that, over, and we have this negative sign, I'm just going to stick it out front, x plus 5. So that's our final answer. What can x not be equal to? We look back to our factored out denominator. Negative x is 0 when x is 0. X plus 5 is 0 when x is negative 5. And x minus 5 is 0 when x is 5. So there's 3 values that x cannot be equal to. Alright, so now there's those 2. And now we're going to flip it over. And we're going to do a couple more of these. We're not going to do all of them. Probably going to do 3. I might just do 3, 5, and 7. 3, 5, and 8. 3, 5, and 8. I like 3, 5, and 8. Alright, so number 3. The top, we don't do anything to it. Stays 4x squared. What can we do to the bottom? 20 and 12. Well, the biggest number we can take out is a 4. X squared and x, we can take out an x. So that means we're left with 5x minus 3. So then what can we cancel? Well, we can get rid of this x and get rid of the squared. We can get rid of the 4 and the 4. And so then we're left with x over 5x minus 3, and x cannot be equal to 0, and when 5x minus 3 equals 0, let's work it out. That means we add 3, divide by 5, so x can't be 3/5. 0 or 3/5. Okay. Now I'm going to do, you know what? I'm going to do 6 and 8 rather than 5 and 7. So let's look at 6. We need to factor this. So x squared plus 3x minus 4. A times c is 1 times negative 4, negative 4. Two numbers that multiply to be negative 4 and add up to 3 are 4 and negative 1. So we have x plus 4 times x minus 1. And on the bottom, 1 times 8 is 8. The two numbers that multiply to be 8 and add up to 6 are 4 and 2. So I really like multiplying and simplifying because we get to cross things out, which is my favorite thing to do. I know it sounds silly, but I enjoy it. So we finish with x minus 1 over x plus 2, and then looking at our denominator, x plus 4 equals 0 when x is negative 4, so x can't be negative 4, or so negative 2. So if you notice, our restrictions involve even the factors that we crossed out. You still have to include those in. All right, and then number 8, this one is a multiplication problem. Don't freak out. This is all you do. Continue drawing the line and just put parentheses around everything. That's how you make it simple. So now I'm factoring x squared minus 5x. That's x times x minus 5, and then I still am multiplying by x plus 3. Okay. On the bottom, x squared plus 3x, x times x plus 3 times x minus 5. All right, now let's see, what can we cross out? Well, the x's cross out, the x minus 5's cross out, and the x plus 3's crossed out. Now here's the big question. If everything crosses out, what do you get? I hope you didn't say 0. 1. Anything divided by itself is 1. So that's our answer, and then our restrictions would be x can't be 0, x can't be negative 3, and x can't be 5. So there's a few other problems you can try here. It's all about factoring and then canceling. So when you're simplifying and multiplying rationals, we do that first because that's easier than teaching adding and subtracting. So hopefully you feel confident with the multiplying and simplifying rationals.